going on, good people? We are back. This is part 2 of episode 9. And in this episode, Aaron Dale from Raising Boys to Men joined us in the Chophouse. If you haven't, go give his page a follow. Aaron talks a lot about co-parenting and he talks a massive amount of sense. As you will see in this episode, if you haven't already subscribed, Charlie 4i, go and subscribe, please. Just whilst I'm talking, go and do this thing now. That's it. Good. Well done. Moving on. What we got?
Look on the camera.
What's going on?
He's selling that sign.
He looks like he's delivering.
Set it up for her. No, set it up. No. You stay here and set it up for her if you're going to drop it off.
Okay.
No.
Oh.
She's recording it?
That's the baby mom, isn't it?
Do you guys go to your house? Yeah, whatever.
What is the issue?
Right. So, the woman filming is the
Girlfriend.
girlfriend. Okay.
The new one.
The new one. Okay. The current one.
The current.
Okay. So the dad has dropped off a present for his child.
And food. He had food as well.
Oh yeah.
That's
Was there food?
It looked like a delivery room.
To be possibly. Yeah. So the dad has dropped off a present for the child. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the mum is saying to the dad, "You can't just drop this off. You need to set this up."
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she's like, I'm not setting it up.
Look how big it was as well.
Yeah,
He
it was
told
big
us
as well.
that.
And obviously there's pushback. There's pushback from the dad in terms of like actually setting it up.
He was doing that because the other girl was there.
You think?
I'm sorry to jump in straight away.
No,
finish.
go.
We've got
I'm done. So, yeah.
No. We've got people who are watching, so finish the full story.
No, but that was essentially is the story. So it's like he's gone there. Here's the present. She's like, no, you come in and you set this shit up. You don't just leave this for me to deal with. Yeah. And so she's getting a bit of pushback from him. I don't know, but by the end of the video, we don't know if he did or he didn't.
I think personally, and maybe I'm going out on a friggin' limb here, but he would have set it up, but she was there. His missus was there, so he couldn't set it up. He felt like he couldn't go in the yard. Because I personally think he should have set it up.
No, see, I don't think it was because of the missus, for the fact that they were recording. So the fact that there's a camera on someone, tells me that the boyfriend or whatever was like, something's going to kick off, record it.
Okay.
Like, to cover me or something. I don't know. Because why are you, if you're delivering a gift, why are you going to record that?
Yeah, because you know something's going to kick off.
You know something. Like,
yeah, I agree. I hear you.
If I'm bringing a camera to my baby mum's yard while I drop something off, it's because either something's happened previously, or you're going to say I never gave it.
Yeah.
Or something. But for me, if we're talking about what we said there, he should have set it up.
He should have set it up.
He should have set it up.
Really? That's a lot. Yeah, that's a big job.
Unless there's a stepdad in there. If there's a stepdad
so now we're talking about gender roles here.
So, no, in the sense of like...
Because
she looked like she was like, I'm not going to be able to do this.
I don't think she'll be able to do that at all.
And then to me, that's affecting the child. Because now the child sees the gift, but can't play with the gift because mummy can't set it up. So we've actually had a negative effect on the child now. Whereas if the dad's job isn't necessarily to, I've bought it, look at what I've done my part. It should be like, what's best for the child? So I'm buying it for the child and I want my child to play with it. I might have to set this up.
But what if, so obviously, as you said before, the dad's gone there and he's got the girl to record. So we're assuming that there's something in this, innit? Like something could always pop off. So if for the dad is like, for my own safety and security, I don't need to be inside that house.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not fair for him to be like, you set this up? Because he has to protect himself against any type of fuckery that could come from the baby mother.
Something was happening before that moment where what we saw. Like the video, obviously he would have had to walk up. He would have had to knock the door. She would have had to come out. There would have to be... Something happened before because it felt like a conversation had happened, and then the last thing what she did say was, okay, you can bring it in, but then you're going to have to set it up. So I feel like, yeah, he's not welcome. I don't know. Maybe he's not welcome.
Mm.
That's me guessing, but maybe he wasn't welcome in the house.
Or would you say like from the dad's perspective, there's also like a lack of planning? So maybe if you know you got this big ass present, then you should be like, look, like maybe make it up beforehand.
Or you could always keep it at yours. Do you see what, like, you could. I'm not saying, obviously the child will probably get to play with it less, depending on your dynamic, but there is that option, you know what? Like, I don't know, like, let me get a PlayStation 5 at mine, like, for when you come over to mine, or do I buy you a PlayStation 5 to take to your mum's?
If it's at the dad's and the child is there less, then does it really feel like it belongs to the child?
And this is the...
And the truth is, we're doing a little bit too much. All of us, including you, we're all doing a bit too much. In terms of the circumstance of that situation, with camera on or camera off, he could have easily just said to her, "I'm going to put it up for you."
If he was
allowed in the house. It's just that simple, because it made sense that was going to be a tough job. Whatever that, I couldn't even tell what it was.
It was her height.
That this woman can't do it.
No,
I thought the fact that she's saying you need to set this up, to me is
I'm not assuming that she can't. I'm assuming that the only thing I'm assuming is that she don't want to put it up.
That's it. So doesn't want to put it up is different from can't put it up.
Oh, today this is the nuance point. That is super nuanced, because yeah, you're right, but it doesn't change the fact, like Aaron's saying, the child is not going to play with this thing now because it's not set up. And if mum ain't doing it for whatever reason, whether it's she can't or she don't want to, then you've defeated the purpose of bringing this present round.
But then but if mum can and doesn't, but then isn't she the person now that is taking this away from the child?
No, but for me, we're so caught up in the battle sometimes, rather than just, let me just spend 20 minutes, set this up and go. Like, my child benefits from it. I don't have to battle with the mum. But there's clearly a battle there. You do it. No, you do it. You do it. No, you do it. And this is what happens to me, co-parenting anyway. We're so focused on the battle when the child's there just like, but I just want to play.
Focused on the principle.
I just want to play. Can one of my parents, just do this, please?
Yeah. And I'm not thinking of even making it a gender thing. I just think he's brought this thing. It's a challenging set of circumstances, whatever it is, in terms of just the height of that thing. Even if there's screws, bro, there's going to be a lot of screws. So you go into the house and you just put it up because it's your kid. It's your child. The worst that's going to happen is she said, don't do it. Then you move on.
Question.
In my head.
What if the mum's asked him to buy it?
Then you need to set that shit up yourself.
Whoa. Right. That was I processed that late because it was so quick. I was like, "No, I think he's gonna put it up."
If you've asked me to buy this, you must have a small idea of what's entailed in putting it together. Now, I'm not saying that I won't put it together. Yeah,
you're talking with some bitterness like you've been in divorce.
Exactly.
What the hell? I'm like, Russell.
It's the actor in me.
The child has asked for this gift.
No. That's not what you said. That's not what you said. That's not what you said. That's not what you said.
List.
No, don't change the argument. Don't change the argument. He said the mother has asked for the child to have this gift. If you have asked me to get this gift for our child, then you should be prepared at least to set this thing up. So if for whatever reason I cannot do it because I am not dad full-time in the home, then you should be able to do it.
I want to change the argument just for a minute.
Okay. All right, so this is what the child has been talking about that they want, yeah? Maybe both parents didn't know it was going to be that massive box. And you've delivered the box to the house and she's like, can you set this up? It's a big box. Can we set this? Like, I think it's fair to literally, that was a big thing. To be like, can we set this up? Can you?
I think that's fair.
And it's not okay.
You don't need no pushback from me.
It's not okay that he's like, no, take the gift. That's not okay.
Mikey's got a curveball, yeah.
So I feel like you'd be doing this from spite you, yeah? You would bring the present for the step parent, stepdad to put together, wouldn't you? You'd be like, Let him do it. Let him do it. I bought the thing.
I'll be
Let him do
real.
it.
I will be real. I'll be real. Yeah. There is no version of this scenario where I would flat out refuse to put this thing together. However, the mum, the stepdad, if you are able, in my mind, you should deal with it first. Like you are the first port of call, because I'm dad not in the house, innit? So, and you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be very honest here. Even as I'm saying these words, this is like therapy. Even as I'm saying these words, like I'm realizing how ignorant it sounds coming out of my mouth. Okay, okay, but this is mad because like I'm talking like this has actually fucking happened to me. So I'm like, maybe fucking God forbid. But there would be, you know what it is? Okay, so it's this.
Man started and stopped a few times. I'm just saying, like, I ain't caught the sentence yet.
Whenever I see a dad out of the home, yeah, there's always a part of me like when my heart aches for that dad. So being a dad in the home, even there's great times, there's shit times and whatnot have you. But even when you think about those great times, my heart always hurts of how, especially if it's like a kind of no fault situation, of how the dad misses out on those things. So me knowing who I am, yeah, and it's just me being honest, there's gonna be, as mature as I am, there's still gonna be like a little bit of bitterness there. All right.
I'm so happy that you said that.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Because that's
so it is things like that. I will happily go and get this present for my child. I'll happily make it up. However, yeah, it's a big fucking ass present. You man, take this one on the chin and get it done.
You've made me think, you know. You've made me think, because there's, like, Tyler loves Lego, right? And, like, there's been some, like, massive Lego things that him and his stepdad have built together. And I know that he's over-impressed with his stepdad for that, yeah? And I'm like, I don't have that. Like, so if there's an opportunity for me to build something massive in front of my son, for him to be like, my dad did that, like, I feel like I'd jump at that. Like,
You know what? Yeah. And you know what makes it even worse? So if you follow me on Instagram and you've been following my stories, you'll see my old man rantings about these foxes that have tried to come and start colonizing my garden, right? And our garden light is broke, so when you switch it on, it just flickers.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, the whole day yesterday, I've been doing like things of like fox proofing the garden, this, that, and the other, what have you. And then when it got to night time, I remembered the light. I said, let me put the light on. Yeah. So you got this kind of flicking light all through the night. So put that on, chilling in the living room, and then Akai, he comes from the kitchen, comes into the living room, and he goes to his brother, Jaja. He's like, what? You know what? Dad's so clever. And he's like, what? He goes, he put the broken kitchen light, he put the light on so it kind of deters the fox. Bro, I was sitting there like, yes, I'm the fucking man.
No, that's too much, bro. You just put on a light.
Bro, I took that. Yeah.
Fair play.
So what you said is like, yeah, those moments are like,
we want to be the hero.
You want to be the hero, and so if there's an opportunity to be the hero, then yeah, really, I should take it. You
just had your first intervention when it comes to this. No, because for me, you know what? With and you know, I don't know what the circumstances, as we've all kind of said with the videoing.
Yeah,
I am doing that. I'm going there and saying, you know what? I'm putting this thing up. It's her or his present, and I'm doing it. Like, there is no way I'm not doing that. I even stepfather, whatever. That's my kid. It's my child. I mean, both your stories were beautiful in the sense of how your child views you. But for me, it's just like, I'm doing that. So, because me and my brother, we'd always spoke about this kind of scenario. When you're in a relationship, right? And you've broken that relationship, and I know I'm talking from a place of privilege because I don't have children. But when you have a child with a woman, from our perspective as Asantes, you have to consider the mum too. Regardless. Richard will say specifically to his sons, and I hope they won't mind me saying this. He'll say, look, don't disrespect your mum, you know. Treat her right and do everything that she needs and be her support. Because I don't want to hear anything. I've got my own I've got my own life over here. Do you get what I'm saying?
And I've had those.
And so you have to have like I would love to have, and obviously you've kind of highlighted that maybe you're not in a good speaking space with one of your your children's mums. But like in that space, bro, like I'm walking in there and she would know that I need to do this for my child. Because I'm too connected to the fact that that's my son or that's my daughter. I'm too connected to that. My dad showed us that. My dad had a child before me. So I have a half elder sister.
Okay.
But there is no distinction
between,
and mum is her mum. Get me? And they would travel together to go and see the kids and the grandchildren.
Unity.
You fully. There has to be. And you know it's more of an African Ghanaian thing as well, specifically. So I'm very surprised at you, Russell, man. What the hell is going on here?
Listen, I was being honest to my feelings. As I said, when I see dads outside of the home and certain things that I've heard and whatnot have you, like my heart has always just ached, like seeing it. And I just, if I'm being honest, I was like, there's gonna be that bitter, but the hero story, I think, changed me, man. Turned me, man.
I think it's easy sometimes to take an opportunity to spite the mum rather than to love the child.
Yeah. There you go.
Do you see what I'm saying?
There you go.
But now I want to change it a bit. I love doing these things. And I've forgotten it. It was a good one.
He repositioned himself and also.
I'll get ready for it as well.
No, listen. Let me get it back. Damn, it's gone.
All right.
It is gone.
We're gonna hold up. If you try and remember,
remember,
but we're gonna move on to the next one because it's kind of appropriate because we had a little conversation about heroes.
Okay.
So let's check this one out.
Hey Tommy, this is Joseph. He's 7, and he's been dying to ask you a question. He's a Panini Kid Report. It's a good question too.
What's up, Joseph?
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. Many people say you're their hero, but who's your hero?
Who's my hero?
Tom Brady.
It's a great question. Well, I think my dad is my hero because he's someone that I look up to every day. And
Wow.
my dad.
Told you it was a good question.
Right. So I saw that, and just I guess the way you guys reacted is how I reacted, and I had to sit and think on the answer for myself because I was like, in all honesty, there's probably like a number of people on different levels that I could say are my heroes that I look up to. Even Mike, I would say like I would class you as one of my heroes. Like I would look up.
No way.
No, absolutely, 100. No.
Because you're here.
Absolutely. Let me just say, he's here. Yeah, but
I see you as one of mine, you know. Because it's standards.
Just because I just said it.
No, it's because of standards. It's like morals and standards. I look at you, what you've achieved, you how you are as a dad, as a husband, and as a life partner, bro. It's like one of the best. Like seeing you two is like one of the best lessons for me in life. I can only dream of having that.
No,
Facts.
So,
but anyway, continue with your question.
So, I really had to like think about who my hero was, and like I said, you came up for very similar reasons that you just said about me. Like I really look up to and admire the life that you've carved for yourself, especially at a time when, you know, like when you're young, and if when we were young and you said you wanted to be a lawyer, there's a very clear-cut career path to becoming a lawyer, where one of the things I really admire about you is like, there's this passion that you have for music. And especially coming from the families that we come from where they don't really understand that. But you followed and you doubled down on that passion. And so I would like, you know, so for those reasons, you're one of my heroes. But then I was looking at the video and I was like, is my dad one of my heroes? Is that just like a cop-out like, yeah, my dad's my hero sort of thing. So I really then had to like kind of sit and think about like, is my dad my hero? And ultimately I came to the answer of yes. But the reasoning was, when I think about just the thing of coming from another country and making a life for yourself.
100%.
And so even when you check it, yeah, this moment right here wouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
If my dad hadn't
made that choice,
been brave enough to pack up and come and do all of that. And so when I think about how his choices and all of the things that it spawned and all of the opportunities that it's given me, then I'm like, you know what? Yeah. But what's kind of gave it even more impact for me was like also being a father and then kind of being at a stage of like where life maybe isn't the easiest and you're trying to juggle all of these things and you're still trying to keep things cool for the kids and whatnot have you. And then just thinking like, they went through all of this and hid a lot of it. You know what I mean? Like kind of, sometimes they didn't, but it is like, actually, this is a very stressful job. And so I was like, you know what? Yeah, I will put him as my hero. So my question to both of you is, who is your hero?
Yeah, man. I kind of thought that's where your question was going to go. I thought you was going to relate it more just to, is your dad your hero? And it's funny because I think I don't have heroes per se.
Hang on, you just told me I'm one of your heroes.
Told you. You lost that title real quick.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
I don't
Grand
have
opening, grand closing.
I don't have heroes per se. I think what I've always held on to, and maybe it is a reinterpretation of what hero is, it's examples.
Yes. Yeah.
And where my dad sits in that is exactly what you spoke about in terms of the passion and stuff. Dad had this random idea, I'm going to come to England and make a life for himself. Right? That's crazy. Right? And you think about it back then as well. It wasn't like you had the internet so you could just go and... Bro, people were using I remember when we used to use A to Z to get to places. This man was flying on a plane for the first time in his life, just like your pups would have as well, and decided to come to this country and carve something out for themselves, right? It's exactly what you described in terms of the passion that I drew on sometimes. Because you look at the circumstance and you're like, my dad can do that, I can do that. But then also what my dad did wrong is also very, very important for me to understand.
Absolutely.
So I constantly stay in this space of, these are the examples. So maybe that's heroes. The people who are brave enough to do something, whether it's the wrong thing or the right
thing, yeah.
Either way, all of those people have given me an opportunity to understand how I should move. And I don't know whether I've just transported the name hero to example. But
it works for me. It works for me.
My dad, like you said, my story in relation to my dad is exactly the same as yours. I look at it all and I'm just like, wow, you gave me the opportunity to sit in this space, in this land, which allowed me to kind of traverse X, Y, Z. But yeah, there's so many other people that have given me that passion, even like Kanye West, like, for argument's sake. I know there's a lot people would say against him, but his concepts, ideas, and even a lot of his words have made me realize, yeah, this is what it's meant to be, to focus on a thing in your head and try and build it and try and actualize it. And you're going to come up against all of these different things. Yes, some of the ways he's dealt with it has been terrible and wrong. But then at the same time, he's still managed to kind of present himself as I am Ye or Kanye or whatever his name is. Do you get me? And those examples constantly fuel me to move forward. And I think that's the most potent and most powerful thing I can say about all the different examples that live in my life. You know, you being one of them. Like, it's an example of that's what I can have. That's what I can be. This is where I can actually go. If I am like that, I'm like him. But I don't know whether that's hero or I'm just...
I like the way you kind of put example and hero together. I resonate with that. So yeah, I think that works.
I feel like I've got role models. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there's a lot of my role models will be male. because I'm a man and I feel like I can relate to. But when I think of heroes, the distinction I make is that to me a hero is like super, like they've got these powers. Do you know what I mean? These superpowers, and you feel safe around them, and they protect you and they uplift you, and they do. And to me, that's my mum. Like my mum was my hero. It was always just me and my mum, and I never understood it at the time. But as a man now, reflecting back, knowing how much my mum had to do, to me, that's superpowers.
Yeah.
You was able to do all of that, and you was doing it for me, to make sure I was protected, I was safe. The amount of times that my mum seen me cry and be at my lowest and being able to raise me back up to feel like, no, you know what, I can do this. Like, my dad's never been there to do that. So for me, my mum took that role. Like, to this day, my mum's my hero.
You know, it's funny because when my dad passed away, like my mum, there's no way I could even begin to talk half of my mum's business on here if I value my life. But let's just say my mum did some things, and even to this day, where I was just like, but in that moment of like, you've just lost your life partner, and how she traversed certain things over the next few years, I looked at this woman like, fuck, like, wow.
How?
Yeah. How? Like, that it's the how. How did you do that? How did you do that?
Yeah, man. I think it's like, it's challenging because your example of hero is so, like, is it connected to, the words are just, the words are doing too much in my head right now, because there's so much to that idea of being a hero or idea of being, you know what it was? It's the moment that Tom Brady took that in, I wanted to go back to. Because I don't want to... this is tough. When you're in that space, he's Tom flipping Brady. Right? And it's the reason why I made my show Outliers. Because Outliers was about the concept of standing up front and daring to be different. It was the first time as a show, like, because I've done it, say, with Ken, or I've done it with all these other artists, I'm doing it behind them. No, this time I'm going to stand in front of something and say, this is my thing. This is what I want to present. This is not a community thing, which I've done with my community. This is
standard,
Michael, right? And so what that did is it started making me go through quotes and start to figure out who were those outliers to me. Who were the interesting, random, off-kilter, weird, crazy people to try something. And I started going through all of them, both male and female, right? Like, the one that I remember the most was Nina Simone's quote of, an artist's job is to reflect the times. Yeah, that's our job. And that as a quote is like, wow, so you're meant to galvanize all of the stuff around you to kind of present that to the world so the world understands the message, whatever the message is, right? Whether it's a good one or a bad one, right? But I did all of that over and over. Now, in that, he's Tom Brady. That question was so potent to him because the way the kid asked the question is the space that, and I don't want to sound like I'm up my arse, but the space I sit in sometimes. Because everyone's looking to you. Everyone's looking to him to throw that ball so that they can win the game. And then the boy just asks a small question like, you're everyone's hero. Who is your hero? Like, and look at how it, for me, it's the way it crumbled him.
It
Do you know what I mean?
It was a lot.
And that's what I think sometimes it creates so much pressure, especially even in my mind sometimes, of being the example or being the person who's going to deliver the thing. You always sit in that space, and it just was so nice. I just wanted to like bring that back. That it was just so nice to hear it was something so small.
Vulnerability, isn't it?
Because it was because really he was probably thinking about all the other stuff. It was all the practices. All the time. Dad had to pick him up and take him here. Dad had to do this. Dad had to do that. Do you know what I mean? And Mum might have been involved as well. But in that moment, that's what he remembered. And it was just nice to know that even the biggest stars or the biggest people, sometimes it's something so small that really is the thing that can change everything and make your life massive,
Massive.
and incredible.
Going back to that moment, is for me, I saw everything. So he's replaying everything Dad has done, and I'm seeing him see all of these things.
I didn't know whether or not he lost his dad at that time.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Has
because
he lost his dad?
I don't know. I don't know whether it was like, oh, is it sentimental or was it that emotional? I didn't know. But either way, I had to make sure that
it was a beautiful moment.
I'm glad I managed to get it out because it was just washing around in my head.
Now, who's yours?
Do you know I was expecting you to say?
I wasn't expecting that actually.
Like Russ, me.
I don't know. I feel like I have lots. I would say probably in terms of drawing on a superpower, like what you were saying, it would definitely be my mum and sister. Like, I wouldn't be who I am without them, but in the same way, I wouldn't be me without you. So,
wow,
it's probably the three.
Bro, I wouldn't be me without.
That hit me. That hit me.
Ew,
That hit me a little.
The height of that.
That hit me a little. Yeah.
Be me without you.
Yeah, I'd say you three and my brother. Thinking of a table with 4 legs, my pillars. I have 2 men and 2 women that keep me safe.
That's beautiful.
I think that's probably like a beautiful point to end it on. To be honest,
That was sweet.
The light is
the light is on him now.
But either way, that's all my videos. I enjoyed today's
I'm
pod.
still trying to remember my original question, you know.
Are you still trying to remember?
Yes, bro.
I was hoping.
You're gonna be on your way home, and it's just
you know, innit?
Just come back to me. Oh my god. I'll text everyone. I'll text it.
But bro, what have you been up to?
Neat.
What's good?
Just I done the live show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Barbican.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That.
Big up the aunties.
Mm-hmm.
Still waiting for the footage.
We actually have the finish now.
Oh, you got the finished one?
Yeah. And that would go out soon. I will let you know. I want to say a date, but it hasn't been officially.
You know what I have to say?
Signed off.
But I don't want to stop your flow.
No.
Oh no, actually it was no, yeah, it was you was talking.
Yeah.
But bro, you was inciting so much. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He was asked. Did you catch him? Like you was asking those questions that was just making like you. I don't know if
I watched it back,
Yeah.
and at the time I didn't realize how fidgety we all were because we're usually not like that. But you said a few things, you asked a few questions, and all of us were a bit like, hang on, we didn't see that happening. Like,
He was proper like.
Yeah. I was like, it was good.
It was
We
very
don't
good.
generally have that coming back at us, and that was it was good for us to think like on our feet.
Yeah.
Actually, what is our position on this? How do we think? Yeah, it was good.
No, I just didn't want to stop it.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, and so literally just at the moment, been on a few different podcasts and just a lot of opportunities at the moment. And I'm trying to...
Your growth has been insane though.
Like literally, like it was 1,000 a day last week.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like I was getting 1,000 followers a day for like 4 days in a row. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Like,
insane.
But you still get...
Is he doing us a favour? He's coming to doing us a favour.
You know, but it's a funny thing because as he was saying at the beginning, both ways, it's like, I was like, I'd really like to get Aaron on, but I'm like, yeah, it's not really in, like, when you look at it from a numbers perspective, I'm like, it's not really in his interests.
No, you know what? I've said like all along, for me, it's about connection. I don't care if someone's got 10 followers or whatever. If I feel like I'm going to enjoy that. Because someone could have 100,000, 200,000, and I might be miserable on that show. Like, this to me, I knew I'd enjoy. And like, we connected at the live show, and straight away I was like, Ray, I felt like I've known you lot for time, do you know what I mean? So for me, no, I feel like that's where people can lose it. Like, we look at numbers.
Yeah, focus on the numbers.
And I've always said, like, those numbers don't mean there's real people behind them. Someone could have a fake account and we'd still look at that and be like, Ray, 100,000. And I think that's why I like my platform, because A, it's been organic. Nothing's been sponsored. I've not paid for nothing. And if you look at the interaction within my posts, you can see there's a lot going on. Whereas I look at some accounts that have a lot more than me.
And there's no
There's
interaction.
no interaction. There's no real
Yeah.
views, and you're like, why are we so caught up on the numbers?
Yeah.
I'm more caught up on community
Mm.
and people being able to, like we've done here, like bring a topic to the forefront. I don't care if you disagree or agree, but we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
And that's what's been going on. And there's been men recently that you're not being two-sided enough. You're pandering too much to the women. You need, like, if you go in the comments, it's the same guys as well. And it's weird because a lot of these guys don't follow me, but yet they're first to comment on a lot of the posts. Yeah, you need to be two-sided. There's men out here struggling, and I'm like, it's like we could be talking about, I don't know, vegan chicken, and someone could be, yeah, but what about mince? We're just talking about vegan chicken right now. Do you see what I mean? Like, we could talk about mince later, but right now,
I think that's just the internet mindset now. It is
Yeah.
like, if you're talking about one thing, people are going to be like, yeah, but why are you talking about that? And it's just how it is. Because that's how they sound. When I'm reading their words, yeah. So if you're one of those people, yeah, when I'm reading your words, that's how you sound. Yeah, but what about that? And what about this? And what about me? And what about her? That's how you sound.
I think as well, it's like, why? And maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot here, but why does everyone think they need to comment on everything?
Yeah, it's that. Yeah.
Like, there's some things that are just like, I look at them, I'm like, yeah, that's nothing to do with me. And a lot of the time it's on the internet, and it ain't to do with you.
Yeah.
but do you feel like it's not because, like, if it triggered you, do you feel like you'll be more inclined? Because I feel like a lot of people are getting triggered by some of the messages, which is why they're like, oh, like.
Okay, you know, yeah, let's define triggered. Let's define
I think
triggered.
if something means something to you, so like, well, actually, no, I'm going to go back on that. So, I've been watching people write certain things about the Queen, Meghan, I don't care about the monarchy. Like, I don't give a damn. But when I see somebody write something that's just not true or just stupid, it can trigger me. So I found myself responding on posts that I would never normally respond to, talking to strangers that I would never talk to, because I'm just like, what you said is stupid, and I need you to know that it's stupid.
Do you ever get that in your field? Because I can imagine people will be like, they might comment on the beat or they may comment on the track and say, this is this is that. Do you ever feel like, I need to defend myself?
Let me go one step even further, bro. I'm from a time and an era where the idea of being an artist, yeah, the artist would create every 5 years, every 4 years. The notion of a Rihanna who would come out, well, obviously she don't do that now, but she would come out every year, or Beyonce would come out every year, was unheard of. Yeah. And the reason why I mentioned that is because it's not that I'm built from a different cloth, because I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying the idea of keeping my anonymity is a bigger thing for me than the notion of being heard, known, and understood. I create the work. The work is there to be interpreted. That's on you. My job is to continue making the work. So my head has always stayed in the space of, if I was to start taking those things into consideration, I wonder what my work would look like. You see what I mean? So to kind of answer your question, they're going to talk because that's what they're going to do. That's, for them, that's their vocation.
That's their job.
My job is to do what I'm doing. So I've never really, and adding to the side of that, a little sidebar, is if you allow that thing to build you up, that thing will take you down. Whatever you create as your coping mechanism, as your dealing, as your creation tool, as your inspiration tool, if you allow that to live inside you, then it's going to do whatever it does to you. So if the numbers is your thing, you're going to focus on the numbers. The numbers will take you up, but then also the numbers will take you down. So for me, I've constantly stayed in the space of process. Process. I just work and do what I need to do and just try and get better myself. So if you add those two, really what I'm saying is I don't care.
I don't give a damn. But you know what? Going back to when I said before, like about heroes and stuff, but what you just said, that's like another example of a why, because I know that I can get caught up in those stuff, and I know that you've always been like that. And so it's a trait that I just always really admire. So even when we were talking, so when we did a break and then after all the blood pressure stuff, and I said, like, just being here, I think one of the things why I enjoy this so much is because it's just, if you weren't here and the cameras weren't here, we would still be here.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And so it's like, there's just an enjoyment from sitting down here and talking about
It's not
these
forced.
things. It's not forced. So it's like,
Yeah, we'll do this all the time, Aaron. And the point is we should have been recording.
yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and that's it. And so, and I think that's definitely one of the things that I'm taking and I'm learning from you. So even in just doing this, it's like, yeah, of course you want, we record a pod, edit a pod, and the pod's uploaded, and I'm like, that was a fucking brilliant pod. And then you're like, that should be like 1,000 people should see that, or 2,000 people, and then you get like a couple of hundred. But the way that I've grown in sense of like, okay, cool, move on to the next one, and just keep it moving and just keep it moving.
Facts.
Two things with that, yeah. In terms of the numbers thing, I've had the page for like 3 years, and for like 2 and a bit years, I couldn't budge past 1,500 followers. And then I think it was around January, I actually broke up with my girlfriend, and I was like, I'm gonna zone in now, because there was a bit of a worry when you're in a relationship of content you put out, what women might say, and all of that. So it was a bit more of I'm free to just create what I want to create. I zoned in, numbers just went. I feel like sometimes you're one video away from that complete, it's like one single away, just from complete elevation. But what I struggle with is caring, like in the sense of, I've noticed now, whereas I would just sit in front of the camera, talk and do it naturally, now I'm doing like 6, 7 takes. I'm like, how could that be perceived? Did I say, all right, let me not use that word, let me do it again? And I'm like, I'm caring too much about what someone might think in the comments.
I want to challenge that.
Let me just.
No, but I wanted to.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, is it? I don't know if it's a similar thing. Is it caring too much, or is it just honing your craft?
Because that's what I would challenge. I would challenge that you now know a part of the game that you're in, and you're playing not the game as it's like a thing to win or no. You understand. No, let me change that. You understand the medium that you're working in, and therefore are choosing to look at said medium and make sure you're giving the best quality you possibly can, as opposed to caring, which I think what ends up happening is we think that means you're taking it to heart. And is that what you're saying? You're taking it to heart, or you're just trying to make a quality product?
It's that. It's wanting to, you know what, I want to make sure I've covered all angles and like, this is gonna hit home.
Exactly.
Like, so yeah,
when
when
you're making a quality product, because that's the truth, bro. We'll get hung up in all our mediums. We're gonna get hung up on the smallest thing because we understand said system that we're operating in, and then we therefore need to make sure that it's solid, because then we want the piece, the thing that we create to do something. You don't want it to fall down just because of that one comment. You don't want it to fall down because we haven't screwed that bolt on the light in the show. And you want to make sure that your edits are clean. Do you get me? We always are going to have that, and that's called growth. You need that. And it sounds like it's growth that you're going through.
Yeah, because I feel like now I can think of content and I'm like, that won't work. Whereas before, you're right, you're so right. It was like I was trying to figure out, innit?
Are you doing it because you don't want said backlash issues, and you're censoring yourself because of that thought process? Are you doing that? And it's your own. I'm not. You don't have to come and explain it, but that's what matters more.
No, I wouldn't say I've always been careful not to mention names and stuff like that, but I feel like I've been very, very open. But there has been a bit of a worry as I've been growing that, like, you always just feel like, what if someone came out and tried to slander, or tried to say, actually, he's there talking about co-parenting, but I don't know, they somehow speak to one of my children's mums. Because I'm like, potentially people might want to know who my children's mums are to find out information and stuff like this. But I feel like more stuff is on my mind now that I wasn't caring about when the numbers were low.
And unfortunately, you're talking about the media game, bro. You know, and the media game is that, where there are some people who their media realm is to get all of the salacious.
Yeah.
And they will do, and you just got to understand that they're a part of the game.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately,
they're doing their job.
They're doing their job. Because unfortunately, that to them, that needs to come out. Everyone needs to understand. Aaron has been saying these things, but he don't stand by it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the way for me it was Derek Jackson. That one was so interesting. How he came out.
That was mad.
Where it was the same. He was in the same whip. Where he's outside the woman's yard.
In the same whip.
The whip. So the whip that he does a lot of the talking in.
Oh.
He was outside the yard, bro. That's what's so mad. So all of that stuff came to light because that was either that journalist or that's what's his name's job. The problem was Derek Jackson was doing it. So he had to stand in front of it and say, guys, I'm sorry.
Do you think that affected...
And I don't follow him. I just knew about that.
Do you think from what you know, because obviously you don't follow him, do you feel like it affected his career?
I don't think it has. I think he's still Derek Jackson.
I don't know. I can only answer it in the sense that I don't follow Derek Jackson, but
he's still active,
his stuff would pop up in my feeds, right? But since that's happened,
It's not.
his stuff don't pop up in my feeds.
But he's still active though, isn't he?
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is.
Like I don't even know, bruv.
But in terms of credibility, there
were so many women that were saying, "Oh my days, I used to believe this man." I said, "Bro, I used to listen to some of the stuff they used to bring and be like, fam, this guy don't sound right. It don't sound proper."
So,
but then if it wasn't for those other people that are looking for the salacious stuff, then he would have been giving out this
on a pedestal and all sorts.
I've never really listened to any of his stuff, yeah. But are we also saying that because of how he's been found out, that now the stuff that he was saying before isn't valid?
Bruv, come on, that's just business. If I'm purporting, to make the best food, and then now you ate the food and you've been sick, bruv, you got to challenge my food again. Or at least I've got to look at my food and say, I've got to make changes. One of the two. We can't, if I say no, and I try to stay in it.
You know, it reminds me, I may be well off with this, but it reminds me of R. Kelly's music.
Bro, let me tell you, last night I was singing one of the songs in my head. I haven't played his music. I was singing one, and I just say, yo, you know the song? He's got a song, Greater Sex? I don't want to. It's just
I love.
I'm really just.
Yeah.
I was like, is that him? Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bruv, I was like, whoa. I was probably like, yo, bruv, what you were saying was wow. Who was that with? It was a child. I said, yo.
You start to look at it differently, but but also though, even though he's done all of that, you'll still maybe hear the song and be, that's a tune.
That's what I'm saying. Sonically, the tune doesn't change.
That's what I'm saying. So that advice, if it was good advice, it's good advice.
But maybe it was good advice because he was doing the badness. So he knew what he was doing. Like he was the true sense of what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's important. Sometimes we have to understand your financial advisor, your best financial advisor might be the guy that would lost all his peas.
Yeah.
Because he actually understands, or she actually understands how to lose all the peas.
In a way, R. Kelly kind of pertains to your honesty and transparency. Because we could be like, he was being honest in the music. He just wasn't being transparent.
I can't believe, I feel bad that we're laughing over that. Oh, Russell. Oh my God. No, we have to end. No, we have to end.
No, this has been great, though. This has been great.
Oh my days.
On that note, my people, if you are not subscribed, can I ask why?
For why?
If you are not subscribed, as Aaron said, for why? And if you are still not subscribed by the end of this sentence, again, for why? The 10 seconds that I've just taken to speak, you could have just clicked subscribe and the little bell. So please do that for us because it helps us. So help us to help you. Aaron, thank you very much.
No, boys, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you. This has brightened up my week, honestly.
Thank you, man.
Love that.
Thank you. Mikey, as always.
Bruv, This was a good one. Yo, are you sure you're not a comedian? That was terrible, bro. I got so hot. My body just got hot now. Oh my days. Oh, that was hilarious.
Oh,
Yeah,
mate.
man. Appreciate you, Russ, man.
No, always.
Thanks for
Guys,
bringing
thanks
us
very
together.
much. That's been another Chophouse. Peace.
I
The